Hello, how are you? See, I can ask first how you are and then just rant. I can do it sometimes and show you that I'm interested. Anyway, I hope you're doing well and welcome to my stream. Wow, that's so fucking formal. You know what? Fuck you, sit down, I want to talk. And I want to watch some videos. So, what are we watching? I'll show you what we're watching. Ah, get over here. Okay. And this is the intro song. It's such a fucking perfect intro song. I'm so sad that this guy's channel got deleted. But yeah, good thing that this guy recovered it. Anyway, so obviously, Guild Wars 2 video. Let's go. First impressions. Is it worth playing by just a person on the internet? My favorite kind of thing. I wonder what the person on the internet is gonna be like. 23 fucking minutes. I wonder, like, I haven't watched anything. And that's the first one we're gonna watch. And then I'm gonna show you something that pissed me off from today when I was recruiting. Actually, you know what? We can talk about this first. Let me put it here. But then after this, we're watching this from a person on the internet, of course. Coaching for successful men, obviously. Yet another one. Come on, dude. Society apparently is too sexual, and your favorite coach, your favorite one person on the internet is he hates it, and so we're gonna examine where that hatred comes from and if it's merited. Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. And then if I survive, if I have brains after these two, we're going for this baby. And for this one, I have extremely high hopes. Not only because it's a little short for the subject matter it touches on, but because the subject matter that it touches on is very close to me. And I will explain, I will give you the context for that. But, dear viewers, let's not dance around anymore, shall we? An idle ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's just go here where I won't read this. You can read this because you have eyes. Otherwise, what are you doing here? And I mean, you know what? Maybe you can't see, but you are here because of, I don't know. I will read it fine. Um, yeah, and I'll be, that's just considered to do, I guess. And I will say this though. This fucking this had me like looking at my screen with like just question marks above my head going like, what's going on? So, as I said recently, I'll give you the context. All right, I'll give you the context. um, Sorry for that. It's early morning and my throat is kind of rough. So the context of this is just recruitment, as you would, normally in divorce, just recruiting. We recently opened up recruitment, um, foregoing the process I've mentioned sometimes in the past. And both me and another and a friend, Mel, basically, have had some weird interactions with people while recruiting, and this is one of them. This one for the week takes the cake. And it does because it's an interesting little tactic here. This is very simple to see. It's basically the tactic of pushing you into a position where you don't need to be, where you need to defend something, where in reality it has no reason to be attacked. And that's like such a tactic. That is like such a tactic. Anyway, so I was like in Divinity's Reach, and honestly, this is not to shame, Failey and Balok over there, uh, you know, but it's more to analyze this. So he begins, like, out of interest, what has any LGBT plus to do with the game? I simply fail to see what a personal preference has to do here. First of all, preference, you motherfucker. Second of all, and I only say that because he's trying to be very, intellectual with his wording there, which I also countered with my own, more eloquent, like, replies. Anyway, So this is already a fallacy because it assumes that because we mention we are inclusive, that we are also exclusive towards something else, which that's not true. That is like simply fallacious, and creates an argument out of nowhere, which also can't be won. But exactly because it can't be won, this person is going to twist my words and also try to put me on the defensive. And then I tell them like, perhaps you will not fail to see, which no, he did, how it's relevant to someone looking for a group to interact with, you know. And then I explain that like quite a few groups have it rough sometimes in gaming. Not groups, sorry, individuals looking for a group. And I say that it's extra reassurance, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's just extra reassurance. That, yeah, you're well here. You're not gonna have any problems. You can expect no problems, or stresses or worries regarding like perhaps your pronouns, or maybe if you got like me, for example, you got like voice dysphoria, people are not gonna be misgendering you, stuff like that, stuff like that, where it basically makes it easy for you to integrate, right, without any worrying about your preferences or anything, or your gender or like your pronouns or whatever. um, and then the guy says, you will probably never meet any of your guildmates in real life. So what good is it to have such a group? I mean, where nothing has to do with anything being LGBT? Like, yeah, a lot of things have to do with that. Like, what, what the fuck? Yeah, you'll not meet in real life. Probably. As he says, probably, because you might. But the thing is that this is not for dating. Like, we are not signaling, no one is. No other guild who also includes this in their advertisements are signaling that this is LGBT dating or something. But we instead just want to be open because some people, for example, don't join groups that don't state that. And that's their right. And, I'd also do the same because I've been in groups and groups and groups and groups, and I know what it is. So, and I do respond like, in a social gaming group where people will be on voice, someone not respecting someone's gender, for example, will cause issues, right? Um, and then the guy just continues, like, ignoring what I'm saying and goes like, why else would you need such a guild? Like, why else referring to what? Meeting in real life? I don't understand. Can't you talk normally with anyone outside of an LGBT? Yeah, yes, of course we can. Like, what like this guy is like crazy. Like he has just an agenda there. I fail to see the need of such a group that targets a specific. Like we don't even exclude anyone. We don't even target anything specific. It's like, and then I'm just like laying out on him and saying, "Are you just being contrarian to self-validate some low-key passive-aggressive stance against informing people that the group is respecting of individuals that often are discriminated upon?" And like, this is literally what you need. That is literally what you need. And then I'm telling him, like, perhaps you're taking this wrong. I suggest reading the ad again. We're simply stating we're LGBT friendly, not strictly LGBT. And the guy just continues, and next you're gonna be aggressive with you're just a bigot, you're just anti. And I'm like, what? Bro, bro, take it simple, bro. Anyway, and then he goes like, "Oh, but hey, you tried to answer it. I perfectly answered it. Like, just perfectly fucking answered. Perfectly answered. Okay, live in your bubble. Whatever, bro." And this is the kind of shit that I have to put up, and like, Mel also has to put up with some of that, I guess. But yeah, it's like within a week you're gonna get like a couple of these for sure. You're gonna get like some interesting conversations which are like just no. I recommend just don't engage with that. Like just don't engage. Don't even do what I did, because it only leads to them just self-validating whatever kind of opinion they have, and it's just pointless. Mm. But I found it interesting, and so here we are now, and it was relevant with this video, and so yeah, showed you whatever. But yeah, don't fall for this tactic where somebody will push you to defend yourself when there is no like when the error lies with the one attacking. You know, you don't have to be pushed on the defensive, and you're not. You know, as kindly as I can say it, no, none of us is the voice of LGBT, and none of us should be put in that role. If somebody wants to be informed, why? You can tell them to look it up. Like, why is there discrimination against LGBT, for example, among gaming groups? Go and Google it. Go and find out where and what makes people actually feel comfortable when this is something included in your recruitment message, for example. You know, and I have had a lot of people get in touch with me to join the guild because exactly they noticed that we are saying that, yeah, you know what, you're safe with our group. There's not going to be any discrimination. We're going to respect you. Um, so yeah, just if you ever encounter like such a bad thing, just tell them, hey, you know, if you have questions, you're the one responsible for educating yourself, and you can also have your opinion, but I don't want to discuss it. And that's it. I do believe that dialogue is constructive in general, and that's the way we learn from each other. But there is nothing to learn from people who trying to self-validate some weird opinion just because of some erroneously perceived like superiority in a dialogue. Like, just don't. Just let them seethe. Just let them seethe. Oh God. Some people like Saturday morning. Some people have nothing better to do in their like fucking backwater village, I guess, which somehow got internet access enough for them to be in a game and spew fucking hateful rhetorics masked as curiosity, when in reality it's just some form of inquisition. Like, why the fuck are you fucking questioning my recruitment ad? Go have some coffee with your friends, buddy. Go relax, go play the game, you know? It's also that. You can play you're in a game, play it. And if you're not interested in a guild, then just ignore the fucking ad or block me. I don't care. Ain't gonna ruin my day. But yeah, I didn't catch it because I was like just honestly half asleep, and I just wanted to record in the morning and then just come here and stream for you and for me. And it got to me, and I was like, I replied, and I shouldn't have. And Jesus Christ, what did I expect? What did I expect from somebody going like, uh, out of curiosity, yeah, why do you include that? Why do you feel the need to? Are you exclusive? Are you? Listen, Cletus, fucking don't ask things that you're not ready to know. Simple as that. It's like beyond your pay grade. You know, it's above your pay grade. Like you can't handle it. You just want to hate. Anyway, I'm now going to do this typical sound test I'm doing usually and see if like my mic picks it up and how loud it is for you, and then we're gonna fucking go into it.
Back in 2012 and still going hard till this.
All right, so here's the thing then. I will need to probably be muting myself because I think it goes through unless, let me try again.
Guild Wars 2 launched back in 2012 and still going hard till this day.
It might be okay for you. Let me try again.
Which is kind of nuts for the MMORPG, right? It's got this unique horizontal progression
I think it's okay for you. I just need to probably lower his volume a little bit. Like so. And let's try now.
system, a high fantasy world, and a bunch of classes for both PvE and PvP. People have been loving it for years, and the community is still
This is perfect
huge.
then. Okay, let me just increase it a tiny bit more.
The
And
devs keep rolling out expansions and updates, so there is plenty of stuff to do.
yes, this is perfect. Okay, so now we can watch. And as is the case, always, I'm not attacking the individual. I might trash talk, but I trash talk anyone for fun. And but like no, I'm not literally just seriously attacking the person, but I might attack their positions if they are not informed well, or not even attack them, but like just challenge them, just fucking question it, depending on what is going to be said, I guess. And it's not meant to be, something personal. It's like, nor do I intend any blah blah. I'm just commenting. I'm one random person on the internet commenting on what another random person on the internet says, and it's just opinions, and I guess an effort at criticisms if they're necessary, if they're warranted, I guess. And what I'll do is just like I'll impose it. We're gonna listen through, and I'll be pausing and commenting whenever I feel like it. And that's it, basically. Simple instructions. So let's see.
Guild Wars 2 launched back in 2012 and still going hard till this day. Which is kind of nuts for the MMORPG, right? It's got this unique
It's not really that nuts. I mean, Final Fantasy. I mean, World of Warcraft. I mean, Ion even. It's not really that nuts anymore, but okay.
horizontal progression system, a high fantasy world, and a bunch of classes for both PvE and PvP.
So Guild Wars is not necessarily high fantasy only. It can be high fantasy. It can also be low fantasy. It can also be steampunk. It can also be like it's a billion things at this point. Exactly because it's been 10 years, and the theme of its expansion and living world and the themes of like our equipment and the lore has expanded enough to include like a huge variety of settings at this point. Like any other MMO really that has survived this long.
People have been loving it for years, and the community is still huge.
Alright, so people haven't been loading it for years. People have been shitting on it for years, and at best, the last like 5, 6 years, ignoring it. But lately, it has drawn attention. That is true. But loading it for years? Like, who are these people? Nobody even includes it in their MMO lists. Only Haze, includes it more often than not. Nobody else. Anyway.
The devs keep rolling out expansions and updates, so there is plenty of stuff to dig into.
Alright, so they don't keep rolling updates and expansions. They had stopped for a huge time, which also probably contributed to why people don't even mention it, because it gave the perception of being dead, and honestly, during that time, it might as well have been dead. But now they're back on track, so there is that. But it's worth clarifying that it's recently that they picked up the pace.
Sometimes too much, but I figure out, hey, it's 2025, time to see what all of the fuss about, and share my journey with you. So it's basically why you need to play Guild Wars 2 in 2025. First impressions by somebody who did try this game before but never dived deeper than the first levels. Yeah, by the way, my name is PLK, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, right? Like on all this stuff, comment below, let's go. Now, right off the bat, Guild Wars 2 is a free-to-play game, which is more crazy than the previous passage, right?
It's buy to play.
The only real paywalls are expansions, which will get you new content. Few of them will get you heroic classes, which are called professions here, and some really cool storylines, which are important for the Guild Wars 2, and I will explain later why. But you can play the whole game with whole endgame with everything PvP and PvP just free to play.
No, you can't. It does have a very generous portion, like a very generous portion, as generous as, let's say, Final Fantasies, when it comes to what you can access as a free-to-play account, as a completely free account, like not even paying for the entry. But I will say the story is mediocre for what you get when you play it free, right? Like not even paying anything. The story will be mediocre at places. It has some highs, though that's also subjective, but it does show its age. Like it shows its age very much, like the base campaign at this point. It can be quaint, and it does have the interesting starting 25 levels where it's like your personal story, so that can be interesting. And again, it does have some nice moments, obviously. It's no Realm Reborn, that's for sure. Like it does keep you interested in the storyline, and there is a storyline which starts and ends. So there's that. and which is relevant to the overarching story as well. So again, it's no ARR, which is a very good thing. But you don't get all that much to play with comparatively with what is there if you pay. But it's still okay. But no, you can't do everything free to play. That is like such a stretch. That is a stretch.
So for someone just jumping in, it's awesome that you get so much content without dropping a dime. As I said, the game has a really loyal community, so there is a ton of info on YouTube if you get stuck or want to learn something more.
Yeah, recently a lot of people have been like the last like half year, a lot of people have been making videos about it, and most of them have been doomsaying. Ridiculous doomsaying, if you want my opinion, and I've commented on some of them because they are sickeningly misinforming and misinformed. So I don't know where this guy sees all the positivity in YouTube, but I'd say it's a mixed bag.
The first game in the franchise, Guild Wars, have been supported for like 20 years, still to this day. And Guild Wars 2 itself once went through the weird 5 years period without major patches. Maybe
Yes.
developers thought that the game will die, but people still keep playing the game and they decided, why not to expand
No, that wasn't it wasn't that idealistic. It wasn't that idealistic. It had to do with NC Soft and all. I'm not gonna get into it, but it's not exactly what he's saying. It wasn't that altruistic and idealistic that, oh, look at the people being so loyal. We should really just help them out. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
on the new content. And boom, came back strong with DLCs and expansions every year. And now we have something called Living Worlds, constant continuation of the
No, we don't have living worlds anymore. I hope you can't hear that. The siren outside. Let me wait a bit before I say stuff because it's distracting. Okay. So no, we don't have living world anymore. The devs have officially said that like it was a mistake and that they won't be doing that anymore.
story and the content
Which yes, it was a mistake. As much as I love some of them, story-wise and all that, yeah, the living world season format was trash. Sorry.
and updates every year. This video will consist from the different points like the beginning, character creation, combat system, PvE, PvP, all the end game content and the conclusions in the end. So stick around, you will know everything that you need to understand is it worth playing for you this game in 2020.
A very lofty statement, Andre. Are you sure you're equipped to like just make that statement?
Right from the start, graphics. So this thing might feel weird at the beginning. You need to overcome the visual fidelity of the game because the game is old, relevantly, right? It might feel a little bit dated in places. Not every location is as shiny as a modern game. But some spots look really good, and then you start to adapt to the gameplay and to the graphics of the game, especially in the newer.
I would say that visually it has its own style, and for the open world it actually works really well. Just as well as you would expect, for example, World of Warcraft to hold up with its distinct cartoony style. I'd say Guild Wars aims for the same and for the most part succeeds. And I will juxtapose that, if that's the word, that it's the opposite of what Andre is saying. It mostly succeeds, but there are places where you can see you can see it fall apart at the seams, especially when we're talking about the free content, so the base game.
Expansions. And it feels more and more enjoyable. Maybe other aspects of the games are so good that you're starting to forget about the visual fidelity. Let's start with the character creation. Character creation here is pretty straightforward. Not super in-depth, but it's enough to get you going. And let me tell you, the classes are where it gets interesting. Each one has a few specializations, and they can feel like totally different classes once you focus on specific weapons and skill lines. Also, many classes can use a bunch of different weapons, and each weapon gives you different skills. Plus, you
All classes can use a bunch of different weapons, not many classes, all of them, actually.
have a hero points which you can use for the builds and different passives. So there is a lot of going on there, but you definitely understand right from the start that this game have a lot of experimentation potential for the building system, and I know for sure from the YouTube that there is a ton of different builds and you don't have one or two trendy builds which are
No, you actually do. Except they're not one or two, they're more like five or six. And, I'm not being cynical when I say this, but like a lot of people hear that and then they go in game and they see all the choices and they go like, oh my God, let me cook. But simply they're lacking information and they can't cook. And even if they could cook, then they would see that it kind of, you know, it gets narrower. Like the more that you learn about the game and the classes and the systems that are in place, the narrower your selections become in terms of like traits and everything. Traits being like skills and abilities or whatever you want to call them, perks, any name, it's the same thing. So yes, it does get narrower and narrower the higher you go. Um, but it never gets to the point where it's like one class above all or two classes above all. It's usually gonna be, let's say, four to five or to six uh, dominant classes and builds within these classes, let's say, that are going to be objectively just better at stuff. And fortunately for us, this kind of, sooner or later is usually what happens, they change around. Much like Blizzard sometimes makes a paladin OP and then that stays for a long while and then they change it and now Demon Hunter is OP. It keeps people interested and rolling other characters. They're doing some sort of similar system. Um, so yeah, and it also depends a lot on like what you're willing to sacrifice. Because if you're willing to sacrifice everything and you're like, I'm all about efficiency, like I'm literally all about efficiency, then there are very, very, very specific builds that you will use. And then it becomes extremely narrow. But if you want a good balance between efficiency and like your own personal expression, I would say, yeah, there are five or six builds right now that will get you like pretty damn high, provided that you can press buttons and you have like more than one shared brain cell. Um, but don't expect like something like what Andre is saying here, which is like, oh, there's like a plethora of builds and all that. Because no, no, I've never seen that. I've never seen a person ever successfully cook something that isn't in the meta tables. So yeah, take that as what it is.
everybody playing, right? That's good. Maybe that's part of why a lot of people have been playing this game for a long time. And
Like there is nothing there. Also, he's wrong that like that's not why people play for a long time. They play because of the combat system, but we'll get to that. To go back to what he said and what I said on it, I'll give you a very recent example. Um, I was once again put in the position, in the unlikable position, and for me as well. Like I don't like doing that, where I did inform someone, even though I didn't ask, which was rude, but I did inform them because I felt like it was for granted that they aimed for high-end content, and they weren't. So that's like why it was wrong to do. It was better if I had asked. And I told them like, hey, if you're gonna be coming with us on like high-end stuff, so like raiding and stuff, I'm sorry to say, but you're gonna have to drop, for example, the dual swords that you're using, because they're just not outputting enough. Um, and to give an example, 20k DPS right now is considered the bare minimum. That person was like 4 to 7k DPS as a DPS class, with a DPS class that is like specifically very strong currently. So that was like a huge fucking, numbers gap there. And I had to tell them, hey, you might like the aesthetic of running dual wielded swords, but if you're gonna do high end, you gotta pull your weight, which means you are going to have to accept adjustments to your playstyle. You are going to have to accept that you probably won't be using your favorite feeling weapon, and probably will have to shuffle around some perks and learn your rotation a little bit as well. And I think that soured the person pretty much. But what can I do? And it's an unlikable position to be in, to both be on the receiving end, the giving end of that. You know? But yeah, I was wrong not to ask, but I was right into informing that like this is just not gonna work by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not gonna work. As much as I respect like people's creativity. Anyway, let's go on.
Most likely will continue when the Guild Wars 2 will be launched, which is in the development already.
What? What did you just say?
Part of why a lot of people have been playing this game for a long time, and most likely will continue when the Guild Wars 2 will be launched, which is in the development.
Okay, Andre, I'm sorry to say, but you are 100% wrong. There is no Guild Wars 3 in development. You're actually, I'm probably gonna post this on the comment section. There is no Guild Wars 3 announced or in development. There is official word on it, and there is also official word on the fact that even if it was to be announced, it would still take 6-ish years, if not more, for it to be in a state where they would launch it. But there is currently no Guild Wars 3 in development and no plans for Guild Wars 3. So please, just stop saying that. Like, literally, this gets a dislike for me for that reason. I'm sorry. That is like blatant misinformation.
Already. So, you have 5 very distinct races: humans, Nords, Asura, Char, and Sylvari, and 9 unique classes: warriors, typical; guardians, a tankier warrior with the magic like a paladin; ranger, typical ranger/hunter with the pet; thief, rogue or assassin class with a stealth, poison.
Like, you can't imagine the damage it does to a game that is like especially that old to essentially say a sequel is coming out and it's confirmed. You can see the damage in like all over YouTube and Reddit and the official forums that like it caused a lot of damage, honestly. And no, they're not secretly working on it so as to avoid the damage and somebody expose them. Literally, they were open about it. Like, yes, it was discussed, like the future of the game had been discussed, and the potential of like a sequel has been discussed, and that's it. Like, literally, like there's no plans. Nobody agreed. Nobody said yes, we're greenlighting that. Nobody's allocating resources. There's nothing. So I'm just gonna say, I had to. I had to because this is like just nonsense. I had to.
And all of this cool stuff. Engineer, pretty cool and interesting, with gadgets, explosions, and a cool mechanics. Necromancer,
And oh, I am ready to be proven wrong, which is also why I'm asking the guy, like, what Guild Wars 3? Like, please point me to sources. Like, please point me to official word that says, yes, we're developing Guild Wars 3. Like, please. I am ready to be proven wrong any day. Just please.
a summoner and debuff damage over time class, Master of the Dark Arts. Elementalist,
Wait,
the
wait,
mage
wait. This derailed me. Let me go back to the classes that he's saying.
development already. So, you have 5 very distinct races: humans, Nords, Asura, Char, and Sylvari, and 9 unique classes: warriors, typical; guardians, a tankier warrior with the
Oh my god, this guy just has no fucking clue. Guardian is not a tankier warrior. Warrior is a lot tankier than a Guardian. So Guardian basically breaks a mold because you would expect that it's like a paladin, like a knight, like something like that. It's not. It's squishy. The squishy as fuck. Warrior is the thick one.
magic like a paladin; ranger,
Yes, it does feel like a paladin sometimes. Firebrand, for example, and other stuff like that. with like burning and all that. But don't expect a World of Warcraft paladin.
Typical ranger slash hunter with a pet. Thief, rogue
Um,
or assassin class with a stealth, poison, and all of this cool stuff. And
any class can have condition damage, which is what we call, which is basically damage over time. We call it the conditions, right? Condi DPS is a DPS class that is relying on dot basically. Any class can be played as such, or at least the majority of them can be played as such very successfully. So there is no specific class. It's not like if you want a dot class, you're gonna roll like thief. That's not the thing. That's not the thing.
engineer, pretty cool and interesting, with gadgets, explosions, and cool mechanics. Necromancer, a summoner and debuff damage over time class.
Again, the mistake about damage time. It's no. One of Necro's most powerful builds right now is in fact not conditions.
Master of the Dark Arts. Elementalist, the mage in the Guild Wars 2, with 4 elements for different situations like fire, water, lightning, and earth. Very versatile and very complex. And Messmith, the most unique class in many MMORPGs, by the way. This class is bending reality using illusions and clones and try to tricks everybody. Very cool to play. And shiny, that's also good, right? And yeah, also we have a Revenant, which is a premium class. You need to buy something to play it. It's ethereal warrior, kind of mix of warrior and a thief.
No, what? 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 A mix of warrior and thief? Okay, all right, buddy.
Now let's start the game and let's talk about
Sorry for laughing. I realize that Andrei just has zero fucking experience with the game. I get that. Okay. Yeah, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's fine. That's fine because he just started. But that's exactly why you shouldn't be trying to make a guide, all right? You shouldn't be. Just tell us your impressions. Don't try to give us a guide because you're failing at that. Because you're not equipped to do that.
questing and a progression system in the game. As I said before, the Guild Wars 2 has horizontal progression. What does it mean? Instead of the typical, hey, this is your next quest, go do that, collect this item,
That's not what horizontal progression means. That's not what it means.
kill these mobs, you do basically the same, but with a different approach, and that is super cool.
What? What?
In Guild Wars 2, we have an open world zone events
What does that have to do with horizontal progression? What?
as the quest. So normal level
He's correct, by the way. He's correct. It's not like your typical MMO. It's just the questing is like intertwined with exploration, and you don't need to go and deliver quests. You don't. Quests are like happenings within the zone that, based on proximity, you start participating in, which you can choose to ignore or not. And by participating, you fill a bar, and when the bar is filled, like I'm saying this like very roughly, then it's done for you. You know, you helped in that location, moving on. You get a reward, you move on, you know? Maybe there's a fort and it's under attack and you're helping. And then once you kill enough things or repair enough walls or bring enough supplies or whatever else you can do to help, once the game says you've helped enough, then you've completed that regional quest. And that's how quests work. It has nothing to do with the term horizontal or vertical progression. This person is completely out of his water when it comes to explaining things like that.
leveling progress will looks like you came to the new territory. You explore it and do the zone quests, represented by yellow hearts on the map, like helping a village to defend against the centaurs or guarding a merchant. The cool thing is, if you will ignore one of them, like ignore the defending village from the centaurs, the next day the village might be conquered by them completely. So
No, it's not that epic. It is not that epic. There are certain triggers based on some things that are happening that will basically initiate like an event, for example, right? So every now and then, if in your local area you are supposed to fill the heart that you see up here, which is your quest progress, by let's say killing centaurs, as he said, maybe if nobody does that for a long time, but like 10 minutes or so, I don't know, like an X amount of time, maybe a center boss will appear and they will try to take the area, but then that starts an event where you can just kill the leader and then retake the location. It's it can be it can be very dynamic. It can also be very stilted, and it's not everywhere and all the time. But I feel like it's well spaced out, enough so that it's not annoying to the point where you're trying to do hearts and then um, you're failing and then starts an event and you don't want that event, you just want to move on and stuff, it's not annoying, honestly. But yeah, it can happen, but he makes it sound like um, it's dialed up to 11, when in reality I would say it's dialed to 6 or 8. It's where you would expect it, enough to make the world feel like alive and there are things happening, but not to the point where it's like some global campaign of conquest where there are like multiple warring factions and like crazy shit like that. Don't imagine like something beyond the scope of what it is. But do expect to be pleasantly surprised by how alive the world feels. That's what I'm saying.
So the next Dawn quest will be different as well. Pretty cool for the lore, right? Along the way, different events can appear, like rifts, bosses, additional zone quests, hero challenges, and so on. So you basically never pick up a quest. You just arrive, learn the story of the location, help people around, and progress to the next territory. Super smooth experience. And the cool thing, you are making all these quests all together. So all people around also contribute to these quests, and you have your individual contribution, yes, but all of the people doing the same stuff, which
That depends. Nobody's gonna fill your quest meter for you. You have to fill your quest meter for you. But because people are always doing stuff in the open world, it does feel like you're working together. But mechanically, these people are not filling your quest bar. They can fill event meters. For example, if an event pops as a consequence to, let's say, losing that fort that I mentioned, well then everybody in the area can kill centaurs, and that will fill the bar for everyone because that's an event that is happening. But no, nobody's gonna help you finish your quests. Nobody's gonna finish your quest for you.
will influence the world after that. And the last one, maybe it's most important from all of them, you're also not limited by level. It will be reduced by the territory level, so you always feel like it's the right place to play, or you can move to your low level friends area and play together anyway. So most of the territories in the game are for 80s level, right? That's why all of the expansions, all of the new stuff in the game, it's not outdated and you can play all of that to progress. Super cool. I will say that Guild
That is true. They do it right. They do that right. Yeah, that's true.
Wars 2 seems like the only MMO truly made for exploration so far. Like Final Fantasy XIV has an epic story, World of Warcraft
It has a mediocre and serviceable
has
story.
deep lore and atmosphere, Lineage 2 has epic PvP battles,
Lineage 2 is dead.
EVE Online is the most open world
What? What, by sense of like just having endless vacant spaces? Okay.
of open worlds, right? But Guild Wars 2 is an MMO about exploration for the progress, and it feels like that. It was right from the start, really unique experience for myself, and I'll say it was a good one. Like one time, I found a portal that teleported me to the waterlogged old temple, where I was alone trying to figure out where to go next. I found a few other players who were looking for clues on how to open the next door. We got past a few obstacles, then got stuck discussing how to move forward. It was just fun figuring out what was going on, and the game gives you a lot of experience just for exploring, which is the main point of fun in RPGs, right? You're doing something fun and you're getting experience for that. It's weirdly unique and good. So every zone has its own story waiting to be discovered. Through the quests, events, in all, you just explore the new zones and gradually get involved into the story.
I don't have much to say about that. It's more accurate.
The game feels very alive because of this. Even in the newbie locations where few people are playing, those few folks are still around with you on events and so on. So no checklist for quests. Just open the world narrative by exploring it. I mean, Combat system. Guild Wars 2 has a hybrid combat system. It's a tab targeting or zone targeting for some spells. You choose the enemy by clicking on it or by using skill on the closest one.
You can just target closest, or you can just tab target, like, or you can click. I guess you can click. Yeah, you know. I'm just saying that what he's saying is not efficient.
If you're smashing by your sword, all the skills will be AoE in a cliff. It feels like a real action combat, but with a top targeting, if you can say like that. But the skills themselves usually don't force you to stay still or pay too much attention to the enemy position. If you select the target and click on the skill, and you're in the right range and you're looking on the enemy, the skill will be used. Some skills like those for the thief class feel even more like action combat because you need to jump around, swing your daggers, and all these cool flash
Huh? Huh? I'm not even gonna comment on that.
stuff. Anyway, it looks like it was pretty
Why did he bring out thief on that? Okay, okay, all right, okay, that's his opinion. Okay.
innovative when the game was launched. Now it's just a bit unique, but it's definitely a good combat system. Maybe compared to the previous games that I tried this week, like the Queenfall, or the new games, which have pretty good combat system like Throne and Liberty, compared to all of these, Guild Wars 2 definitely have a good combat system, and you will love it. So it's fun to play, that's good. It feels smooth, and you can have depth in tactics and strategy because of the hybrid system. Fights also feels very dynamic and fast. Maybe Guild Wars 2 lacks a bit of an impact feel, similar to World of Warcraft
A bit of what? What did he say?
and fast. Maybe Guild Wars 2 lacks a bit of an impact feel, similar to
A bit of impact feel. No, I honestly feel like it has one of the best I have seen in in recent MMOs. I haven't played Throne and Liberty, um, so I don't know how hitting something feels there. But Final Fantasy, this is 0 out of 10. World of Warcraft, 0 out of 10. For me, Guild Wars is like 10 out of 10. How it feels. But yeah, I guess maybe Throne and Liberty does it better, or the other thing that you said, the Queenfall, maybe does it better. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I haven't played these. I don't plan to play them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he would state though that in a vacuum it lacks the feeling of impact, because in a vacuum, no, you're basically objectively just wrong. Like, I challenge anyone to just play this game and tell me that it lacks in that department. Please do that. Please try to argue that. I mean, yeah, it is subjective. Yeah, like a lot of things in the end, or maybe even all things in the end. And I understand that somebody might compare it, but we're talking in a vacuum. Like this, the statement that Andre used here is simply maybe it lacks the feel of impact. No, in a vacuum, no, it actually has a very legit feeling. Now, is it more legit than like other MMOs? That's up to the person, but it definitely makes you feel it when you hit something. And things that you hit react in a good way to convey the impact as well. Um, and the presentation of the numbers popping and the kill effect sometimes, if you got these, and the death animations that they have, it's all very satisfying. So in a vacuum, I just can't agree with his statement. I would say quite the opposite. It is among the MMOs that definitely makes you feel like you did hit something. Especially if we're talking using melee weapons, you definitely feel it, and even ranged ones, like Pistol Thief. The sound and the sound and the numbers popping and how fast it is, for example, it's almost like addictive as like a bullet hell game, especially because it's a one button build. And so you really feel like you're playing a bullet hell game, and it does give you that sensation. I don't know what he's on about, but whatever. Maybe he's talking comparatively, but then again, I can't argue it because I haven't played Queenfall and I haven't played Throne and Liberty.
World of Warcraft Classic. You don't really feel the damage, you just see the numbers and hear the sound.
That is outright wrong. If that is for Guild Wars, it's outright wrong. Sorry, especially in the vacuum.
Warcraft Classic. You don't really feel it lacks a bit of impact feeling, similar to World of Warcraft Classic. You don't really feel the damage, you just see the numbers and
No, that is like I absolutely disagree with that.
hear the sounds. But as I said before, it's smooth and most importantly, it's fun. But that's not all. Along with all the combat system,
It definitely doesn't have hit stop. It doesn't have hit stop. Yeah, okay, but hit stop is a very subjective thing. Like a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. It's not something that you would use freely. So yeah, it doesn't have hit stop, of course, and I'm glad it doesn't. But the impact, yes, you do feel it. Like they convey it convincingly enough, definitely. Especially in a vacuum, because again, if we go into comparisons, then maybe you can say, yeah, compared to, I don't know, your favorite fucking impactful gameplay, maybe it doesn't hold a candle, and I can't actually argue it, as I said, because I don't have enough info personally. I don't, haven't felt Throne and Liberty. But to say that it's floaty like World of Warcraft, my dude, you're playing some other game. I don't know what you're playing for real.
we have the freedom to swap two weapon sets on the go. And also, each class has a lot of weapon they can use. The cool thing, each weapon for each class gives you a few unique skills.
So what he's saying here is technically correct, but the same things that I said about classes will be said about gear. So while there exists a lot of variety, the higher you go, and the more you demand of yourself, and the more you're willing to sacrifice of your playstyle and preferences, then some things are going to definitely be the flavor of the month, let's say, or of the year even. So yeah.
So experimenting with the two sets and a lot of skills could be endless. But that's not even all. Wait, you also have a hero talent points, which you can use to upgrade your passives and skill builds.
You already said that. Why are you saying it twice? You did mention this. This is how you make builds. Yes, you invest hero points into skills, and that's how you unlock them, and that's how you use them, which you said. Why is he saying that's not all? You can also do this. You already said it. Basically, that's the basic. This is the base of the system. This is the basis of it. So how can you say that's not all though? You can also invest in skills like, eh? Yeah, yes, you can, because that's how you make builds. So why are you adding it on top? Why are you saying on top of all of that, on top of having a lot of builds, you can also invest in abilities? Like, if you don't invest in abilities, you won't have builds. Is this guy like spacing out or something?
This is still something I need to learn more about, so just say if
How is he saying that he needs to learn more about that, but then tries to make what essentially is a guide for new players? But then goes for one of the three or two most important systems that get acquainted with, through the door, literally, as a new player. He says, I have to look into it though, guys. I'm an authority. Guild Wars 3 is coming out, by the way. Oh, and on top of the build system, there is also the build system, which I know nothing about. I have to learn it. But let me give you advice about how the game works. Okay.
you want
Good
a
job,
variety
buddy.
of different builds that are playable in PvE and PvP without only a few meta ones, Guild Wars 2 definitely seems to be the game.
Whoa, what? Let me hear that again.
Say, if you want a variety of different builds that are playable in PvE and PvP without only a few meta ones,
No, 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 no. If you had said the first part of the sentence, you would be correct, Andre. But the moment you said the last part, you lost it.
different builds that are playable in PvE and PvP
Yeah, that's where he should have stopped. But when he adds this,
without only a few meta ones,
yes, there are only a few. Like, again, it depends on how much of your personal expression you're willing to give up for the sake of effectiveness, right? And of course, there is like, this is also, of course, in reason, because you can make some really fucking dumb dead end builds, like some really uneducated choices, and literally effectively stunt your character to a point where not only are they not like working, but they are utterly useless, and people are gonna call you out for it, and rightfully so, because you know, that there are ways things work, and you're supposed to learn these ways. You can't just YOLO it, you know? Whereas this guy here seems to imply that yes, you can YOLO everything, so if you don't have to worry about meta, yes, you do have to worry about meta. Like mid game and onwards, you have to worry about actually being effective, or you're gonna be getting your ass served, especially in PvP and world versus world, especially, and in raiding, of course. This I am honestly flabbergasted. That's the word that I can use. Like, what is this guy saying? He's just yapping, just running his mouth.
Guild Wars 2 definitely seems to be the game. So while I was recording the materials for the previous part of the video, I completely forget about that because I was playing Guild Wars 2. That's why we're recording the next part next day. I mean, that's super rare when you're only starting the game, and that's really good MMORPG. That's the thoughts about the game during the process of the recording.
Yeah, I think that's what's getting you confused, Andre. I think yeah, I think you're right. You just are lost in the game and just don't know what you're blabbering about. I'm sorry.
But let's continue. Expansions and the content. 6 major expansion packs have been released for the game. Heart of Thorns 2015, Path of Fire 2017, End of Dragons 2022. That's exactly 5 years without anything for Guild Wars 2, The Strange Time. Then Secrets of the Obscure 2023, Janthir Wilds 2024. A 6th expansion pack is developed, stated for 2025.
There are at the moment confirmed at least 3 more expansions and plans for more coming, which also tells you what you need to know about Guild Wars 3 being in development as well. But I don't have to make that point anymore. Just look for official sources. If you find any official source where it says that Guild Wars 3 is confirmed in development by official word, please show it to me.
Each expansion pack introduces new content, including new regions of the world to explore, endgame encounters, and masteries, with the first 3 also offering new professions, elite specializations, you will say, and seasons of living world. Live content updates that
That's interesting. Let me see here some things.
expansion pack introduces new content, including new regions of the world to explore, endgame encounters, and masteries, with the first 3
All right, so I will assume this is not his list. I will go into it assuming he found this somewhere. If it is his list, let's say easier professions. You cannot include warrior there. Basically, this is erroneous from the start because this, and I would say, not sure, but this and this though, they have builds which can prove quite challenging. So yeah, like a good heal firebrand and a bad heal firebrand, you can feel it. A good dragon hunter and a bad dragon hunter, you can feel it. You know, a good willbender, a bad willbender, you can feel it. Bladesworn, a bad Bladesworn, oh boy, nobody even touches that class. There is no bad and good Bladesworn because we're about 5 people playing Bladesworn. Like me and other 4 guys in the whole fucking universe currently plays Bladesworn. It is not easy just because Berserk is easy. And even if some of them are categorized as easy, also then how does this logic work? Because Thief, for example, have Spear Condi Spectre Thief. That's not easy. Or Deadeye Power with like dual daggers and rifle in high end. Bring that in fractals. It's not easy. It's really just not easy. So it really this is saying nothing. Intermediate is Mesmer. Mesmer is the easiest thing you've ever done. It does everything, and it does everything well, and it does it in a way that even a brain-dead monkey can do it. What is it doing in intermediate? I'll be generous and say that this guy found this and that it may be outdated, but it's completely wrong on every level. The approach that it has is wrong. Therefore, the results are wrong. And hi, Neris. I stumbled across a video that is insane. This video is insane, honestly. It is a treasure trove of misinformation. Not maliciously, I will assume. Just the person has no clue what they're talking about because they're extremely new, and they are just spewing nonsense, of course, including that Guild Wars 3 is in development, obviously. Guild Wars 4 is in development, guys. Guild Wars 8 is in development, by the way. I have beta. Just saying, I have the closed beta. I'm friends with my uncle works at Nintendo, and you know he gave me the fucking beta of Guild Wars 5. You missed some good laughs. You missed some good laughs. You should have come earlier. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna run it back and say them again, but oh boy. And I took it personally. I was like, "What Guild Wars 3? Source, please! Like, what the fuck?" I'm tired of this shit. Honestly, I'm just tired. And when I downvoted this, it's not because of the person. It's because the content is bad. It's well presented, and the editing is fine, but the content is bad. Like it is wrong. Not even bad. It's just wrong. So yeah, that's why I dislike, because there's factual inconsistencies and errors here. Anyway, let's go on, because I was curious about that. And this. Don't even look at that. This is absolutely wrong. Like the criteria used are wrong. You can tell.
Also offer new professions, elite specializations, you will say, and seasons of league.
Okay, that's just what is being offered. Okay, but the easy, medium, and hard. Let's see. Medium Bladesworn. Yes, buddy. Yes, buddy. Whatever you say. Huh. Okay. Oh god. Will Bender hard. Yeah. I mean, bad Will Bender can show though. Like you can tell a bad Will Bender though. But it's not hard. But you can tell a bad Will Bender. Score. Yes, Cowards is medium. Okay. You didn't know that. Deadeye is also medium, by the way. You would need to put these both on red. Um, Holosmith is easy? Holosmith is easy? Questionable at best? It's like straight up, like just fallacious. It's like nothing.
Leading world. Live content updates that continue expansion storylines and bridge the gap between them. In February 2023, it was announced that the Guild Wars 2 expansions, starting with the Secrets of the Obscure, would adopt a new release model. Instead of releasing every 2 to 4 years with a season of Leading World in between, smaller scale expansions would be released more frequently at a slightly reduced price. Additional content for these expansions will then be added through the quarterly release.
So why, if he's acknowledging this, why is he saying that the game works on living worlds? It doesn't. That's why I said that in the beginning when he said, "Oh, they're introducing living world session," as that like as if it's current. Like even himself says here, that's not current information anymore.
Releases. So nothing to add more personally, it just looked like it's a lot of content out there. And with the level adapting approach, players saying that you can have fun even now with the oldest expansions as well. Because it's basically new territories, new storyline, new content for you. And it doesn't matter when you started the game. So the devs doesn't refine the core experience like in World of Warcraft or other games when you reach the limit of the content on one expansion and just starting the new one from the scratch. Developers and guilders too enrich it, so you can use it like a normal gameplay whenever you start the game, which
That is more or less true.
is super cool, I think. New professions, which are classes in the game, right? We are
No, 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 no. They do not introduce new classes. They do not introduce new classes.
remembering this. For some reason, it's super important for the community of Guilders too. In every forum, every Reddit, everywhere, if you call the professions classes here, you will be harassed.
No, you won't be harassed. What are you talking about, lunatic?
Anyway, each of the 9 classes have 3 or so different heroic subclasses, which completely overhaul the main class, basically introducing the new classes. For example,
But they're not new classes, though. They're just elite specs.
thief could be Daredevil, Deadeye, or Spectre. And let's take Deadeye. Deadeye is an elite specialization for the thief unlocked with the Path of Fire expansion. As I understand, you need to buy this specific expansion, and then you can play as a Deadeye. Deadeyes are guns for hire. Using Deadeye's
They are guards for hire? Oh, guns for hire. They're guns for hire? Buddy, are you confusing your own personal headcanon of your character with, like... Has he played the story? Does he understand what the dice are?
mark to mark their target for assassination. They strike their target to generate malice, then consume it to empower their stealth attack, which is basically playing FPS type of the gameplay in the
No, you're not playing an FPS. You're not playing an FPS.
MMORPG. It's like completely different playstyle from the original Thief. Super cool. And so on, so on, so on. Now let's talk
But it is different enough, I will give you that. It is different enough and very challenging.
about content and endgame, PvE and PvP. As it's an old game, as I said before, the devs enrich it with each new expansion. It could be, and honestly, it is for the new player like myself, it is super overwhelming for the new players to understand all the systems and the content. But the good thing is, all the additional content is not mandatory to grasp right away. Like in other games, when you need to know everything and every system should be in use by you, otherwise you can't do the end game content. Here you can fully play the game and get to the end content on just a free count, then decide if you want more.
These things are unrelated. What he's saying now is unrelated, and I will correct him on something. Yes, you do need full understanding of at least the core concepts of gameplay, which is also why I see a lot of people on level 80 and they don't even know what like a defiance bar is or how to break it, how to deplete it, for example. It's because they think how this guy thinks. You know, you don't need to know anything about the game. You can literally just dive headfirst into the end game. Yeah, buddy, yes, you can, but should you?
Very unusually nowadays, right? The main thing that puts Guild Wars 2 apart from the other MMORPGs is its horizontal progression system. In a lot of MMOs, you chase the best possible gear in a never-ending cycle, and with each new expansion, your gear, which you grinded for months,
Okay, now he's talking about actual horizontal progression because somewhere around this mark here, he was talking about horizontal progression and talking about questing. Which, what? Okay, at least now he's talking about what actually horizontal progression means.
hello Throne and Liberty, become outdated. And don't get me wrong, I like grinding MMORPGs. Throne and Liberty, Online H2, or even World of Warcraft. When you grind your gear, is basically the main gameplay of the MMO. And it's fun and you have friends and guilds and PvP and so on, so on. But here, you have a different approach to the thing, which is really interesting. In Guild Wars 2, it's different vibe. I'm not exactly sure how, but players say that if you get some good pieces of the gear, it could be your best in slot for years. For years, man. Yep, you
How come you don't understand how you're trying to analyze? So if you're trying to if you don't understand the thing that you're trying to explain in your video, but you're passing your video as a guide towards what you're trying to explain, you are basically spreading misinformation. And you will do mistakes, and you will inform people erroneously. And also the concept of like horizontal progression is that yes, you can drop a piece of gear, and if your class works optimally with that gear, you have a reason to change it unless the developers rebalance something somewhere, which, you know, you will be informed of. And even then, that piece of gear can be used on another character for the same purposes under the same premise. How is that like an alien concept to this guy? But at the same time, he wants to actually talk about it and explain it.
drop the game for the months or for the year, come back and your hero is still relevant. And you might ask, but why? How? What we will do in the game then? If
Who even asks why or how? That is horizontal progression. You have options. You don't have straight upgrades. You have options that fit your chosen template, your chosen build. How is that is not a difficult concept to understand.
not grind the gear. Well, as it seems, your gear remains relevant for a long time, but that doesn't
It remains relevant permanently, barring very drastic changes.
mean that there isn't content like PvE dungeons, challenges, etc.
And what you're working towards is gold, because the game has a very healthy economy, so you want gold, right? And you're also working towards other endgame goals that you set for yourself. Like, yeah, what?
to grind a new one for the different effects, to experiment on the builds, or to get new cosmetics. There are a lot of that kind of the content in the game. You just don't need one specific best in slot gear to play. And when you reach the end game, it's more about the community and having fun sessions of the gameplay rather than grinding. Pretty strange, I'll admit, and I still need to feel it myself to confirm because I'm not level 80. But that's what the community says.
So you're not telling us your impressions, you're just parroting what people are saying, which you haven't confirmed or sourced or experienced yourself, and you're just like yapping about it. Okay, cool. Good thing you mentioned impressions, by the way, because so far the only impression that was actually his impression was like that he likes the game, that it confuses him with its systems, but that he's eager to actually experiment with it. And that is literally the video.
Pretty
Everything else around that statement has been misinformation, parroting of more potential misinformation. He hasn't double checked, so I just have to call it what it is. Even if I do know that what he's saying is correct, as far as he's concerned, he hasn't checked it out and he hasn't experienced it, so he's just saying it for the sake of saying it.
cool, I'd say. So in short, end game content
So it's not really a first impressions video. It's more like, let me tell you what people are saying about this game and pretend it's like I know what I'm talking about.
will mostly be open world events and storylines, which are, once again, pretty good. But we also will have dungeon, fractals, strikes, and raids. And the thing is, the max level doesn't mean the end game in Guild Wars 2, because most of the zones in the game are made for level 80. Of all of the PvE activities I mentioned,
So what he's trying to say here is that, yes, that is the end of the road. Like masteries and level 80 is the end of the road and having all your abilities. But the game revolves around what happens at that point. It doesn't revolve around increasing that. That's what he's trying to say. But it is the end of the road.
dungeons might be the most understandable for people. But once again, developers went in a unique direction here as well. First, there aren't a huge number of dungeons in the game, but the quality of each is really high. So it looks like the developers went quality over quantity. The main reason is that dungeons are pretty long and fun. Let me explain. They're designed to be playable multiple times. In World of Warcraft, for example, we have really good designed dungeons, and we have a lot of them. But they designed to be played once.
What? If you're a developer and you are responsible for designing dungeons, and you go in the meeting room and say, "Hey guys, I think I have an idea. Here's how in Blizzard. Now imagine this Blizzard. Here's how we're gonna go. We're gonna design our dungeons in such a way that people will only want to play them once and never again. Literally, you're gonna get thrown out of the window. You're literally gonna get fucking airlocked out of the fucking building. What is it? Nobody ever said that. Like this is. And this doesn't count as an impression of his because he's stating it as fact, which he cannot back up with anything. Because nobody ever said that dungeons were meant to be played once in World of Warcraft or in Final Fantasy. You're meant to play them over and over. They're supposed to. Whether that succeeds or not is not the matter. What the matter is what was the intent? The intent was for them to be fun enough for the player to want to be there over and over and over for certain reasons. One of them being fun, obviously. Nobody went into fucking Square Enix and said, it would be nice to create everything. What is this fucking logic? Who even... What? Hey.
Then repeat it in a high difficulty, or just repeat them all of these times to get the exact loot. But they designed to be played only once. Here in Guild Wars 2, dungeons specifically
I'm pretty sure he's trying to say something else, but he just can't. I'm pretty sure he's trying to say something else.
designed with the idea that players will revisit them a lot. How? In simple terms, the dungeons continue their storyline.
But by your logic, Andre, by your own logic, the path that you say contribute to the variety of the dungeons in Guild Wars 2 are also, each of them individually, made to be done once by your own logic. Like, you are... This is crazy.
when you
I'm so happy I found this video. This is insane.
come back
Have I ever actually disliked a video live on stream? Or even off stream? I don't think so. This gets my dislike. This is a circus. This is a shit show. This is a complete shit show. I've never even live commented on something. I barely ever comment. But this one made me dislike and comment. Amazing.
at the higher levels.
And again, it's not personal to with Andre, okay? But this video is just, oh boy. Oh, it's a lol cow. This video, the contents of this video, this is a lol cow completely.
So you're starting in one level and then you continue to the dungeon many times, right? Yeah, it sounds weird, but it looks like it works pretty well. So each time you come back, you will have new storyline, new enemies, new...
No, you won't. You will have 4 distinct paths to choose from. And then by your own logic, each of them is only meant to be played once. And also you're wrong by default anyways, because not only is that not the intent, but every time that you enter, even in World of Warcraft, even in Final Fantasy, every time that you enter, it's going to be a new group, a new experience, a new way to do it. Not so much in Final Fantasy, obviously, but in Warcraft, there's going to be different classes there, and they play differently. Your tank is going to be tanking differently. Same for Guild Wars. So by default, what you're saying is just absolute dog shit. I'm pretty sure this guy is trying to say something else. There's no way that he's like that fucking gone. There's no way that he's so cooked that he's saying this for real.
new areas and new bosses. And by the way, important thing that I forget, you don't have Holy Trinity in Guild Wars 2. You don't have tank, healer, and damage dealers. Everybody in Guild Wars 2 are
You don't have damage dealers? You don't have healing? Okay.
damage dealers with some extent of the buffs, debuffs, some healing, and every class have some little healing as well. It's not typical standard MMORPG experience in the dungeons, which is good and bad. And for me, it was...
It doesn't have Trinity, but it does have a setup. Like you go, for example, in raids, right? You have a certain setup within which you can improvise. And that is amazing because you can actually improvise. You can, for example, not bring 2 healers and stuff like that, and there are ways to do things through creativity and cooking that will allow you to complete something. Yes, definitely. But if we're talking optimally and like realistically, like for LFG or pack groups or whatever, you are going to want to move within certain limitations again. You are going to move within the limitations of having a boon heal, a boon DPS, and 3 DPSs, for example. As a standard, you can move off the standard, and that is something that I upload about the game. Even though I would have loved a tank, I would have loved a healer to exist within the system, but I do upload the system, and it is very flexible, and that's also part of why I consider Guild Wars to have like the most modern approach and the most suitable for myself, at least. But in a vacuum, on average, with bugs in mind and LFG, you will need a setup. It's not a Trinity, but it is a setup for sure. So yeah, while it's not Trinity, you're gonna need a setup. Yeah, that's for sure. That changes the more your skills increase, like your real life knowledge and skills within the game, and your technical knowledge and your damage output and your healing output and everything, and how well you know a fight. As that increases, then it becomes more flexible. But for a casual entry-level experience, yes, you will need a setup. You will need somebody to be healing you. You need somebody to provide certain boons. Yeah, and you will need not 1 DPS but 3 DPS because you're gonna be a noob like this guy, and you're gonna be playing, I don't fucking know, like core warrior with like sword and hammer and a mix of Condi and fucking power and some self-sustain. And yeah, so you have to take these situations into account. And in that regard, yes, it does have consistency in like the group, roles, let's say. So while it's not Trinity, on average, for the average person, the experience is going to have some structure. It's going to be a boon DPS, a boon heal, and 3 DPSs. just as a reality check, because when somebody says, "Oh, there is no Trinity," everybody just doesn't even know what to imagine. Like, how the fuck does this work? Well, that's how it works. I'm just letting you know.
Was really big stopper at the beginning. That's why I didn't play this game for a long time. But now, when I tried a lot of MMORPGs, this experience kind of fun as well. So as I said, it's more like a session gameplay style, almost like in any hero shooter. Dungeons are pretty easy and a good activity
Like any hero shooter? What, my man? Are you like insane or something? Have you lost it completely? It's a hero shooter? What? I probably didn't get what he's trying to say, and I'm not interested to go back.
to level up, and a lot of fun too. Next are fractals. Hard dungeons really cranked up. They only start at level 80, and each has 4 tiers. Each tier has super hard debuffs, like lowering your health or the
Its tier is super hard. Well, I guess for a casual, I guess for somebody who doesn't even know what the fuck they're talking about for 90% of a video, yeah, it's gonna be super hard. Yeah, I don't know. But this guy says he's played other MMO. How? Okay, so okay. Fuck it. It's subjective. Maybe to him it's extremely hard. Yeah, who knows?
power of heals and etc. So it basically has a soft gear requirement, otherwise you can't handle, your character can't handle just to go through the dungeon. Sometimes
That is true. Like he's referring to the agony system. But I don't want to hear him describe it because I'm afraid of what kind of shit he's gonna spew out about that.
it can be too hard, but it looks like this is exactly the challenge for those who want better loot and achievements. The next ones are the most famous, like the most regular activities for the players.
What qualifies them as the most regular? Because like fractals are the most consistent thing that everyone is doing, on par with the IBS 5 strikes, for example. But what made him say that this is the de facto one thing? This makes it imply, like, this implies that like oh, fractals are something you can do like one per week or something. No, you should be doing them daily. Like everyone does it daily. Like what? Okay.
Strikes. Mostly has 2 rooms, your spawn room and then straight to the boss arena. No trash mobs, pretty like the trails in Final Fantasy XIV. Fun, moderately difficult, and
Moderately difficult. I mean, what? So, mod you can literally go through 90% of the strikes. All right, you know what? I'm gonna be very generous. I understand that some of the End of Dragon strikes, if you are very new to the game, you might. If you're very new to gaming and the concept of AoEs on the ground and like cone attacks and half room cleaves and stuff like that, and you've never seen them before, yeah, EOD is gonna fuck you up, I guess. And then after a week, you're gonna be fine and you're gonna be like, damn, that's easy. But if you've ever gamed in your life, and especially played MMOs, which this person says have, right? How do you find strikes moderately difficult? I would put EOD strikes. Remember, we're talking about normal mode here, right? Because there's no way this guy would do CMs, by the way. But since we're talking normal mode, I would say moderately difficult is an exaggeration. They're not. Some of the AOD strikes aren't brainless because there is Harvest Temple, right? Imagine that as a newbie, for example. As a newbie to gaming in general, by the way. Because if you played other MMOs, you probably will see it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, then you know what you're doing. That's it. And then there's also Kindling Overlook, I guess, could be a bit surprising in how it works if you've never played Guild Wars, if you've never played many MMOs, maybe it will surprise you. But then you'll do it like 3 or 4 times, you're gonna learn it, that's it. Like, how is that like moderate difficulty? Like, what is actually difficult then for him? What is easy for him then? Just a clicker game in Facebook or something? Like, what? I don't get it.
favorite activity for the average players. And the last one are raids. Raids typically big end game content. They're pretty good here. The only question is no new raids for 6 years. So developers doesn't add new raids for the 6 years. And I'm not sure why the developers decided that. I know that strikes are like 90% of players' go-to activity, but
No, it's fractals basically, and raids. By the way, people are doing raids like a lot.
still, not even one raid in 6 years. I mean, raids are cool, right? We don't have much here in
All right, so about what he's saying, I'm going to correct him a little bit, or rather add to what he's saying. Yes, they moved away from raids, but also yes, with Xanthir Wilds, they're moving back to raids. So they actually introduced another one, and they did express their intent to actually add raids from now on. You know, because as I said again, they picked up this with like between EOD and Xanthir Wilds, they've made changes to their approach, which this guy acknowledges. So I'm wondering actually how come he didn't come across information that there is a new raid and that they do plan to actually go back into that. So how is he saying this? I don't fucking know.
Guilders too. And then PvP. So we have all of this content and all of this horizontal progression and cool stuff, exploration for the progress and so on, so on. So pretty good game, right? And then PvP, which historically for the Guild Wars franchise from the first game is basically the whole new game in the main game. Let me explain. You can jump into the end game PvP right after you finish your first main quest. So around level 2 or 3, when you doesn't know anything about the game. You get boosted to level 80 with a standard gear. So all of the gear kind of balanced. Without a proper build, yeah.
Buddy, there is no gear in PvP. You choose your stats. Last I checked, like you can just literally jump in, and there is no gear. There is gear for world versus world, but there is no gear in PvP. You can choose your sigils. You can choose your like anything. Your what is this guy saying?
Yes, guilty. But for instance, in my case, I won with my Necromancer with a level 8, the first unranked PvP mode, but lost completely with my Elementalist because Elementalist seems like really complex class. Yes, PvP in this game is hard and not
My God, I'm not interested enough to search and find it. I won't bother. I'm not even gonna bother. I'll just let him fucking run his mouth. It's fine.
friendly to the new players at all, because there is no holy trinity, tank, heals, DPS. The combat system is hybrid and each class has so many variations and builds, it's hard to understand how to win. But everyone says PvP in Guild Wars 2 is super fun once you understand your class. So you have special hub for PvP, where you can join structured 5 versus 5 PvP modes for ranked and unranked games, tournaments made by the players, and many more cool things. With all the PvP cosmetics, battle passes, which seems like free for the
Battle passes? Huh?
So you have special hub for PvP, where you can join structured 5 versus 5 PvP modes for ranked and unranked games, tournaments made by the players, and many more cool things. With all the PvP cosmetics, battle passes, which seems like free for the seasons, and the
What is he talking about? What the fuck did he just say? There aren't any battle passes. What are you saying?
whole who has the longest competition factor. You also have world versus world, a large-scale siege type PvP. Alright, if we're talking about the structured PvP, you have arenas, death matches, and the two cool modes. Conquest, ranked or unranked, 5 versus 5, capture point mode. Teams gain points by holding objectives and defeating enemies. This is the main competitive mode, used for the ranked seasons and automated tournaments.
I would say that the main competitive mode at this point is world versus world. That's where most people go to by default because, you know, large scale and blobs and like just ranking kills and raking kills, sorry, and like the PvP is not as popular, I want to say, and whether or not like the reasons for that are valid for you personally, it's just not that popular. World versus World is, you know, attracts more attention because of its scale and what it offers and the maps and everything. it just attracts more attention. That's a state. Like, I'm not gonna argue which is better or something, but I'm gonna say it does attract more attention. So you could definitely say that World versus World is where it's at. As a first comer, like, you're gonna be like, oh damn, let me see that. Like, experience the massive battles.
And a Stronghold, which is super fun, a MOBA inspired attack defend mode. Teams fight to break through the gates, summon NPC reinforcements, and ultimately defeat the enemy guild lord. It was introduced with the Heart of Thorns expansion. While less popular than Conquest, it remains playable in unranked queues and custom matches. If Conquest is goal 2 for everybody, Stronghold is still a very good and balanced example of mixing PvP content with the PvE elements from the main game. And it's fun. Both
With PvE elements. What? Because there are like a couple of guards now and then or something? Okay.
game modes are very strategic, with buffs, stuns, dodges, skills, poison, and all of these cool
Dodges, kills, and poison. Damn. Dodges, kill, and poison? Okay, buddy.
abilities, just fun to play. And world versus world. Honestly, a strange thing. After playing mass-scale PvP-oriented games like Lineage 2 or Throne and Liberty, it might look bad. Or
How does it look bad compared to those modes? First of all, they're 80% the same. Second of all, arguably, World versus World is quite like more smooth, like it's more streamlined than, like, let's say, the stuff in the 90s, like Lineage 2. What are you saying, my guy?
just odd. With no big purpose, and people just rush PvE points, smashing one button to
Of course, there is a purpose. You're meant to capture, you're meant to capture like strategic objectives. That's all you're meant to do, And as tactical as this sounds, and I know it's not that tactical, but yes, there is a purpose. You're supposed to capture territories. That is the purpose, and defend them, and that happens. And there are actually tactics used, ways to hear the blob, for example, to make the most of it, or to take the castle, and blah blah. Like, of course, yeah. Like, I don't understand what this guy's saying.
kill everything, and that's it. But anyway, you have it in the game. And yeah,
Yeah, World versus World. Yeah, you have it in the game. Yeah, you just have it in the game. Never mind that it's very popular. It's like, yeah, you have it in the game. Okay, good fucking good job. Okay.
that's basically it. Guild Wars 2 has ton to offer, from big open world exploration to dungeons, fractals, raids, and unique PvP modes. It might feel different if you're used to heavy gear treadmill, but trust me, a lot of players love it that you don't have to re-gear every expansion. The community is super cool, the devs have this regular schedule to put expansions for years. And who knows,
You're literally acknowledging that the developers have stated we're planning to stay with Guild Wars 2. You literally said it. Why do you have to say that Guild Wars 3 is confirmed? Why are you such a moron?
maybe it will keep going strong until Guild Wars 3 and after. If
Here we go again. Okay, okay, let's go.
The community is super cool, the devs have this regular schedule to put expansions for years. And who knows, maybe it will keep going strong until Guild Wars 3 and after.
Let me correct you. Who knows? It might keep going strong, whether or not Guild Wars 3 is ever a thing, and after. That's what you're trying to say, Andre, right? Because there's no Guild Wars 3. There's no confirmed anything. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay, well then my pleasure to correct you.
If you haven't tried yet, I strongly suggest just to try the Guild Wars 2 in 2025. Just start with YouTube, check all these videos and all these communities.
Please do not check all those videos, quote unquote. Do not. Just go in there, find a good group, and let them introduce you and give you context and teach you about the game, and you're gonna have fun. And then potentially they're also gonna point you to some actually informative, correct videos, and away from videos like Andre's. So no, please ignore the videos, because I have reviewed, like, not reviewed, I have commented on like 10, 15 videos at this point, and they're all fucking, like, their majority is like literal misinformation and misconceptions. And also Guild Wars 3.
Communities on YouTube about the game, and you will see the different approach of people. If you will compare just a normal MMORPG and the community of Final Fantasy type, you know, the fanatics, in a good way, it will be somewhere.
No, it's not in a good way, Andre. It's not in a good way. Trust me, Andre. They are fanatics. There is no good way to be a fanatic, okay? They are fucking fanatics. The guys in Final Fantasy. There's no good way to be. I'm sorry.
In between. People like PvP, people like just to explore and do the PvE. You can find many things in this game. For me, when I saw this PvP ranked system, I think it's something that will, you know, pull me for a long time.
That is like saying, when I saw a car in 2025, I thought to myself, this device will probably make my life easier, considering where I live and where I have to go to work. I think it is because of that the company who made this car will probably thrive. Like, this is literally what he's saying, because PvP is something that has existed as a concept and as an execution in every MMO ever, since the fucking 80s or something. Since Ultima Online, there has been PvP. It's not a new concept. Why are you saying, oh, this PvP, this weird thing, this very weird thing over here, this mode there? I've never, like, this thing, even though I've never seen it before. It might be, you know, Guild Wars might be cooking with that. Are you fucking... I'm done. I'm done. Fuck that video. Nothing against Andre as a person. Fuck that video. That video is absolute dog shit. I don't even care. Like, that video is so much misinformation. Oh my god. It wasn't the most offensive. Because I've seen some people like say some really wild shit, like that guy that was complaining about some meteors or something. Remember that video? The guy was stoned and was like trying to make a Guild Wars 2 review while stoned, and he was like saying the weirdest shit. And I was moving on it, so it's not that offensive. And the guy seems genuine, at least, which is also a bad thing in this case, but at least he's genuine. But it is the most, like, honestly, it is the most misinformed video of all of them. Not the most offensive or egregious, but it's the most misinformed. Perhaps innocently. Perhaps innocently. But when you present it as like, this is a review, which, by the way, he calls it first impressions, but it is very clearly intended to be a review. So let's get that out of the way first, okay? Because that in itself is a problem. All right, because he's not any kind of authority in the matter to even attempt a review when he himself states in the video that, oh, there is this system. By the way, you know, he's been talking about classes and everything and their difficulty and everything, and then he goes, and by the way, I need to educate myself about the perk system. How? It is like, what? Like, how are you gonna do that to yourself? Like, this is literally committing Sudoku on fucking YouTube. Like, let me talk about the various classes, and here's like a difficulty scale, and let me tell you, the system it's rich and complex, and and this and that, and goes on and on. And oh, by the way, I need to familiarize myself with like the core mechanic of the game. By the way. No. Okay. Oh boy. That was such a shit video, I'm not gonna lie. It's such a shit show. Uh, that broke me. Ah, that broke me. That fucking broke me. I need to recover from that. Let me talk to you about it. Like, let me talk for 20 minutes or something about like the classes. Like, let me talk about 5 minutes 10 minutes about the classes, and then at the end say, I should also at one point, because it confuses me, I should also look into like how you invest your hero points. How does that work? How do you get abilities? Oh boy. Oh boy. Nah, bro. No, don't make a video about Guild Wars again. Educate yourself, and then come back and try again, I guess. But rather, give it some time, buddy. Give it some time, okay? Just give it some time. Don't worry about it. Give it some time. You're gonna be fine. And now, though, now I'm ready for this thing. Okay, I'm so ready. It's Coach Kyle, raw, and he's offering a private one-on-one on YouTube publicly, but a private one-on-one coaching for successful men, not women, not boys, not girls, not any, successful men only. Coach Kyle, raw. Society is too sexual, and he hates it. And now we're gonna find out why. Let's go. Sound check.
Overly sexual and I hate it only because of what I've recently discovered. See, as of recently, I've been able to.
Sound check is awesome. So I'll be right back, and we're gonna see why Coach Kyle the Raw, a very well-known private but public YouTube coach for successful men, hates society, sexual um, desires. Be right back. I'm ready for this, baby. I'm fucking ready for this. I am so ready for this. All right, hit me up, Coach Kyle. Raw, private one-on-one with Daphne. How to be a successful man.
Society is overly sexual and I hate it only because of what I've recently discovered. See, as of recently, I've been able to finally control my urges.
So okay. So listen, I don't know what he's gonna say next. But having said this, so this is basically a person just stating right now in front of you in a private one-on-one publicly on YouTube that he's been a goon because the way that he's saying it implies that he has never before been able to control his urges and his fucking hard-ons. But now that he is able to control them, he has realized that he hates sex. Ah, okay. All right, let's go. It's so good. Okay, okay, guys. I listen. I used to be a goon like you until I took some sperm on the knee. Let me tell you, I fucking hate gooning now. I was in a house. I was in my fucking apartment on my couch with my friend Lyle, and like we were gooning, because we can't control that shit. And until that point, we just couldn't control it. We're just gooning over each other, gooning over other people, over the couch. Like the leather was feeling so good, and there was like some chicks on the TV playing, and like we were just gooning there. We just fopping completely. And then some of his fucking G's went on my face, and after that I was like I should probably not do I should probably not come on my friend's face, and I try to like repress my urges to the point where I don't like involuntarily G's on my pants, and let me tell you, it's been a revelation. I hate fopping. Okay, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Coach me, Kyle. Give it to me raw, baby.
My desires, my cravings for lust that have controlled me. Literally, they've controlled me over the last decade plus.
It was me. It was my dick, Your Honor. It told me to do things. Its spoken voice is so familiar and yet so strange. From within, I couldn't close my ears to it. It was talking. It was looking at me with its beady eyes. Oh no, Coach Kyle, no, bro, no, bro.
Right? I was a dude growing up, I didn't have much success with women.
Oh yeah, I wonder, I wonder why.
I was really antisocial. My
No, you weren't antisocial. You don't understand. Society was anti you, probably. I'm sorry. You don't understand. Ah, okay, all right. I'm sorry about your father, though. That is sad, dude.
dad passed away at a very young age, and I closed off from the world through my teenage years. I dove really deep into weed and video games, and my first girl left me for another dude when I was 24. So in
Ah. This is gonna be one of those epiphany videos, right? Where somebody just embraces God or something, and then shies away from, like, I don't know, fapping and like dating, and just becomes like this, I guess, this life coach. Ah, oh boy. Okay, Kyle, give us the rest of the raw scoop.
my mid 20s, about 10 years ago, I was at rock bottom socially. Didn't have much
Did you just almost say I was rock hard every day? It was rock hard every day. I was fapping. I swear, I moved away from it, but I was fapping like a fucking, I don't know, something. And ah, I was masturbating and screaming like a banshee. But now I can control it. I'm better. I swear, I quit the weed and the video games. They made me fap the video games. I swear. Okay, okay.
of a dating life, and I didn't know how to go out and attract a quality partner.
Huh. And now you do? 'Cause you know that this is not a good start, Kyle. It's not a good start. This is not a good start.
And so, being in that position, all I really did, honestly, was smoke weed, watch porn, masturbate, and that
Ah.
I was
Okay. Wait. Wow. I wasn't ready. Oh my God, I wasn't ready for that. From like I was rock, like the Freudian slow sleep there, like I was rock hard every day, into correcting that. into going to like I was furiously masturbating and smoking weed. Okay.
I was at rock bottom socially, didn't have much of a dating life, and I didn't know how to go out and attract a quality partner. And so being in that position, all I really did, honestly, was smoke weed, watch porn, masturbate.
I'll get over it. Wait, let's just get over it. Ah, ah, so many tears. My eyes fucking hurt. Just a sec. Oh my god. Fuck. Ah, I gotta wipe my eyes. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Oh, oh, oh yeah, baby. That's it. Oh my god. What else? Okay, what else is there? Okay.
And that was really what my sex life and dating life looked like for quite some time. Even
Okay.
when I was in that first relationship, right? I was hyper fixated on porn and masturbation.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think you know what? I think I can see like a fraction of a percentage of a reason why like your mate left you, I guess. Now that you mention ah, okay, all right. Listen, that was a good laugh. I was dying there. I was dead. I was dead there. Like this was like this segment of the video is already gold. I don't know how this can be topped. Um, but I'm sure willing to let Coach Kyle try. Bless you, dude. I haven't laughed like that for like at least 2 weeks. That was like, yeah. Thank you for that. Let's go on.
Since I was like 12 to even in my 20s. So that's already like 13 years of doing it.
Oh
And then
boy.
really from there
Oh
up
my
until
god.
30. So honestly, guys, 20 years, the majority of my life has been spent with porn and masturbation and increasing
Don't
the use of
stop saying that.
weed,
So
drugs,
stop bringing this
alcohol, all
up.
this other shit, right? So I've
Bro,
been very
stop fucking bringing it up. I can't take you. I was trying to take you seriously.
conditioned to these concepts, right? And it's not just because of porn. This is not just about no fap and porn.
Kyle, you need to get to the point because I'm trying to give you like the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm trying to watch a video, dude. Like just stop telling me. Stop looking at me with this charming face and telling me about your porn and masturbation and weed addiction for what constituted like 15 years of your life, all right? Can we move on? Like let's get to the meat and potato. Why do you hate that shit? Like just tell me.
I'm talking about society as a whole, right? You go on social media, you see a bunch of girls fucking twerking. Every other meme page is just ass. You walk around, a lot of girls are just showing ass.
How dare they? How dare they, Kyle? Am I right? How the fuck are they, buddy? How they dare do that? Oh, fueling my addiction. No, it's coming back. I have to stop. Bro, okay, all right, okay. You know what? All right. I said I'll give the benefit of the doubt, and I should do that. And like, it's only been 2 minutes, and I'm already like laughing. That's not polite. I have to. I have to. Sure. Okay. Let's go. Okay. All right. So you're protesting the showing of us. Okay.
A lot of women. You go to the gym,
Uh
all
huh.
these girls are showing ass. Like it's at the gym even.
Yes. Yeah, yes. That's the gym. Yes. Yes, Kyle. Tight clothes, gym. That's how that works. Not necessarily, but yeah. Yes. What is wrong? What are you even saying?
It's everywhere, right? You watch movies, clickbait, YouTube, it's everywhere. You literally
I mean, yeah, sex sells, yeah, for sure. It's a shame that it does and people overuse it, but yeah, that's like, so you hate sex because of that?
cannot get away from it, honestly. And if you're already a slave to these urges, you could see why
I think the only slave to urges is you. I mean, you profess to be at this point a grand master of masturbation and weed consumption and porn at the same time. So I think the issue is with sex. I think the issue is with you, Kyle. And you know, I'm wondering where this is gonna go because so far it's not going that well, is it?
that could literally control your entire life. And what I want to explain to you guys in this video really is like, as of recently, I've overcome a lot of these things, but
Uh-huh.
it was because of a couple different pivotal moments that I did.
Ah,
It wasn't
okay.
just like one day I flipped the
Such as like masturbating until your fucking dick bleeds or something. Because like 15 years of weed and masturbation and porn, like his words, not mine. All right, his words, not mine. Will damage you, buddy. You know, consistent and constant masturbation over 15 years with weed. That's gonna do a number on you. You're a gooner. That's it. You're gone. Not even a gooner. You're a goner. So yeah, like I think the issue is you, Kyle. I think the issue is your approach to fapping.
switch, and then suddenly it was over. It first started in March earlier this
Like this is his brain revolting against the abuse of his genitals by himself. This is literally his mind going like, no, I refuse to cooperate with hand and with cock. I want independence. I want to break free. This is Kyle's brains, you know, declaration of independence from his submission to his evil cock, who apparently, you know, forced him to jerk it off while on weed daily to porn for more than a decade. This is what this is. And that will probably cause you to just want to shout it to the world. I no longer need to fap every fucking second of my living life. And I hate women for it. Oh my god. Alright, go on, Kyle. Go on, Kyle. Let it all
year,
out, boy.
I decided to do 100 days of celibacy. Now, I'm not
Yes,
saying you
that's
need
gonna
to
be
do that.
healthy
I
for
just want to
you.
explain to you guys the different pivotal moments I had and how they impacted me, and how you could ultimately make a decision for yourself about how it's controlling you, and how free you
I
can
don't
be
think
on
it's
the other
controlling
side
anyone.
of
I think
this.
it's
But
I
after
think
doing
it's
the
you
100
who's being
days
controlled
of
by your
celibacy,
dick. And I don't think you should generalize.
while still going out and interacting with the world. Like, I still went out during that 100 days. I
Ah.
committed to 100 days of celibacy, no porn, no masturbation, no sex, nothing.
Mm-hmm,
But I
mm-hmm.
continued to go out and interact with the world. I continued to go out and do
God forbid you keep doing that.
cold approach with women 100 days in a row still. And during that time, I also went on a bunch of dates. Like, I probably met maybe 8 or so women in that.
Uh, oh, okay. At least, okay. All right. At least you didn't like isolate yourself, which is good because that's not healthy. Neither is celibacy to this level. But that's, I guess he's had enough fapping, as he said himself. So maybe it kind of like balances out, I guess. Because we're talking like 15 years of like furious masturbation while screaming like a banshee probably at porn. So under the influence of weed as well. So yeah, I don't know if you know, Kyle. I think I think it's good that you stopped, but it's not good that you're hating.
100 days that I actually had a follow-up date with. All right, I didn't tell any of these girls that, hey, by the way, I'm going to be celibate or anything.
No, you're just telling the internet. Good
I
job.
just went into these interactions with an open mind, looking to connect, looking to explore.
Why can't you do these things without like abhorring sex for some obscure reason? For example, having masturbated more times than than is normal within 15 years.
how the date would go, right? And after the whole thing ended, I had noticed something. I had noticed that number one,
All right.
most of the women that I
Uh-huh.
previously would have been excited to go on these dates with and maybe would have even masturbated to, or maybe would have
What?
hoped to get a lay from,
Oh,
so I could
what?
knock that lay count notch off on my belt and have slayed that interaction. Once I took that off of the table and that wasn't even part of the equation, I found myself on a lot of these dates or interactions thinking to myself, this isn't even a girl that I genuinely connect with.
It's a person,
Right?
my
There
dude.
was a couple different eye
It's a person, like,
opening experiences.
bro. This is a person realizing that like his preferred demographic are actually other people and not like living, breathing fucking Lavens machines. And that was such a revelation to this fucking stoner that he had to make a video about it. All right, go on, Kyle. Let it all out, boy.
One of
That's
them was
it.
I realized this isn't
We're
even a
getting
girl I
there.
genuinely connect with. Right? And there's nothing wrong with her. Like I could actually see her for who she is as a human
Yeah, yes, Kyle. Yes, Kyle. That's good on you. You're late to the dance, but good on you.
being, not an object, not a whole.
Yes,
I was actually
yes.
able to see her as a human being. It's kind of funny as I'm
Yeah,
saying this,
yeah.
but you don't even realize that how much of your own vision
But that isn't mutually exclusive with enjoying sex or even masturbating. It's just that you've been masturbating under the effect of drugs, of recreational drugs for 15 years, completely helpless to stop it.
is clouded because of all of this. It's all going to come together by the end of this video, but this is one
Is
piece of
it?
it, is that you don't realize that a lot of the girls that you're chasing, that you're hoping for, that you're fantasizing, you don't even really want to be with that girl.
Why not? Maybe you do. Like, why would you know? Like, how do you make that assumption? Like, based on what, really?
You're chasing that one moment that you've built up in your brain because of all the content you consume and the lifestyle habits that you have.
All right, so with this one, I will agree. This one I've seen with my own two eyes. This is why, but this is not everyone. This is like some people function like that. That's true, and they probably need to change that because it's not too healthy for any person involved to view the other person as like a pursuit. And then once you have that pursuit, then you just go on to the next one. When it's done maliciously, as in what Kyle said, which is to just treat it as a notch on your belt. But Kyle, most normal people, my dude, we don't think like that. But girls are fine with sex, and we're fine with masturbating, and we're fine with women and men, and everything between. You're just late to the party. But you know what? Like, again, as I said before, like, good on him, I guess. But, okay, continue.
You've grown accustomed to chasing after that thing, and honestly, guys, it's an
Like this feels like it is addressed or oriented towards people who, and even so, it's not justifiable. Um, it's not justifiable, but it seems to be addressed to people who, for example, um, will maniacally date, like pathologically date, just because, as Kyle said, they're dreaming of that moment of conquest, let's say, and then they just treat the other person as a bag of meat. But even if it's addressed to those people, and even if those people are actually just scum at this point, and it's good for them to change that, I guess. The statements in this video are pretty fucking wild, and I would not want this person coaching anyone at this stage in their life.
infinite hamster wheel loop of bullshit chasing. It's really dopamine, is what it is. Like, that's one form of chasing dopamine that we've gotten accustomed to as a means of sexual release.
Nothing wrong with sexual release or or secretion of dopamine, okay? Kyle, Kyle, calm down. You've been doing it wrong. It's okay. You were on one extreme, now you seem to be going towards another extreme. Here's to hoping you will balance in between.
It's dopamine and a sexual release of lust in that moment. And honestly, if you've been conditioned a certain way, like how I was, it would also mean sexual gratification, ego validation, confirmation of a certain identity, which wasn't even the identity that I wanted to be. It was the identity that I had created because I had put walls up to protect a previously hurt identity.
Kyle is going very deep. Kyle is deep diving this shit. Kyle is basically deep diving himself, and that's introspection, and that's good to do. But like, calm down and pace it and examine your thoughts, because you are reaching some very wild conclusions and you're resorting to some very wild solutions, which may be redundant or harmful in the long run. But let's see where this is going.
I'm saying this because like some of you guys don't realize, I didn't realize that nobody talks about this shit online. I don't hear anybody explaining these concepts.
I mean, I find it reasonable that nobody ever talked to Kyle about this, or Kyle never reached out to talk about these things to anyone, and therefore he's been going solo, which means that, like, yeah, mistakes were made along the way, which led to, well, you know, those 15 years of furious masturbation.
I heard everybody explaining the opposite concepts. Don't validate women, don't chase these hoes, stay single. If you fall for the girl or you display your emotions or you really love the girl, she's gonna play you, or you're a beta or you're a simp or you're a fucking loser.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are such um, ways of thinking going around. Um, yeah, that is sad, and it takes, as much as I laugh at this, it takes courage to even erroneously, even in a wrong way, talk about it openly and confront it. So that much, that part of it, good on Kyle. Okay.
You're a pussy, or if you do spill your emotions and she's gonna cheat on you, she's gonna leave you, she's gonna go for the hotter dude, the more successful guy that isn't emotionally available.
That is also not entirely wrong, because just like there is a portion of people who played like Kyle used to, apparently, um, or the people like telling him that stuff went about it. There is also a portion of people who indeed will leave you. They will abandon you for like the next person. They will take advantage. They will drop you if they find a hotter person in their eyes. Like that is, you know, it's not black or white. It's like there are degrees and there are varieties of people who will do bad and good things. It's not as simple as like, oh, now I belong to this side of the fence, but I belong to the other side of the fence. There's no side and no fence. It's like there's a variety of people in the world, and some of them are kind of dumb, and some of them are malicious, and some of them are good, and some of them are smart. And you know, you don't need to treat that as some kind of like epiphany that completely redesigns your moral compass or your choices in life. Or you know, you can just calm down and just think about it and be like, regardless of everything, it was probably wrong to masturbate for 15 years in a straight line, um, and you know, maybe it's also wrong just to treat people as like meat bags that can fuck or not. That is healthy thinking. But in Kyle's case, it seems to be surrounded with like some knee-jerk reactions.
There's so much bullshit content online about these concepts, guys. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's crazy that I've even made a career off of a lot of these concepts. Like, I was so deep into this stuff. I was so obsessed with pickup and that identity and having that success. I built an entire identity and career off.
I mean, of course, if you make your whole identity is like, I am dating, and that is like your whole character, yeah, it's gonna hurt when you realize that, and it's probably gonna make you a very shallow person until you realize it, right? And I'm not saying it's Kyle's mistake, because as he himself said earlier, he just was never shown better. Though he himself also apparently didn't like pursue any further knowledge. So I guess part of the blame on him, part of the blame on the people around him. And I'm also like going to assume that the people around him were, you know, by implication, people who also thought like Kyle. So kind of like trapping him in a dead end of like furious masturbation. And that wake up can be, yeah, it can push you to say, oh, I fucking hate sex now, or something like that. So along with the bad realizations, there's gonna be also good realizations, but there's gonna be bad realizations, like, you know, um, bad reactions, let's say, not realizations, just bad reactions. I mean, a good reaction is like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't furiously fap for my whole life, or maybe I shouldn't treat people as meat bags. But there are also bad realizations, like bad, you know, reactions here. Like, for example, um, I now I'm going to go on my celibate journey, and I'm never gonna have sex ever, 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 ever again. Like, everything in moderation, dude. And like, yeah, I know it's hard. Like, you're gonna bounce from one extreme to another. That can happen.
Off of that, right? And I was very successful with it because there's still a lot of good concepts from pushing yourself socially, working on character development, going out, interacting with the world,
Of course there
connecting
are,
with
yeah, definitely, and not just with women, but like with your preferred partner anyway. It's just, I guess he keeps repeating women because he himself is straight, I guess.
women. Like there's a lot of good things that I teach. Nothing that I ever taught was
I don't think I don't think this guy is in position to teach anything. I think he first needs to learn himself and then teach himself, before even attempting to have a proper conversation about this with anyone.
malintent, right? It all came from a very good place of wanting to just genuinely help men because that's what worked for me too. And I still encourage guys to do that. But guys, understand that society as a whole, everything circulates around this idea of sex.
I mean, again, sex does sell. There's nothing new about that. It's been like that for, like, I don't know, ever since mankind drew its first breath among the stars in this stupid rock in space. So, you know, it's like that's how basically sex is how Kyle is here making a video right now, and sex is how I exist here streaming to you. What's the point of like demonizing that shit? I mean, it's done bad stuff, it's done good stuff, and it sells. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be here. So yeah. But demonizing it like that, I don't know, Kyle. That's a big no-no. I don't think that's healthy, Kyle. I don't think that's healthy. I think that's like a knee-jerk reaction, Kyle. To you fapping more than you have any right to.
And sex appeal,
His word, not mine.
sexualizing women and ego gratification, and you're the man if you could get the girl, and it's embedded into so many different areas of
And I'm not even gonna go into the whole, this is so fucking, this is such an outdated view. Like, I get it. He's straight, and he says it from his perspective, which is the perspective of a straight person. But a lot of what I'm saying in relation to what he's saying, obviously, is genderless. Like, you know, because we're talking sexual preferences, it could be anything, right? Again, within moral and legal limitations. I fucking hope for you, and for me, I do know. So yeah, just let's say that whenever Kyle here says women, in your mind you can just replace it with whatever, like with people, with the word people. Okay, that would be more, not just more encompassing, but also more accurate, because you know such things don't really stop at gender or preference. So yeah.
the world you don't even realize. Some of it is like it, it's it's so far gone that it's almost weird if you called it out. Like the fact that I said it's at the gym, right? If I tell people, yo, there's like girls showing too much ass at the gym, there's a certain demographic of people that wouldn't even accept that, and they're like, why are you looking at women while you're at the gym working out, right? You ever see these like funny memes where
No, 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 no. Some people will say that, but they're also wrong. Because of course you can look. Why would you not? You see something you like, you just look at it, whatever. That's what it's there for. But just do it respectfully, first of all. And you know, have a level of discretion, and also if you notice that's not welcome, that then just obviously don't do it. But like, if somebody is working on the assumption of like, if you've got it, flaunt it. And to be fair, that's a nice thing to do. I do it, for example, and I'm aware that people will look, and that's fine as long as they are, you know, proper about it, right? It doesn't. It's not an invitation to come hit on me, and also I'm not gonna bite. So yeah, everything is somewhere in between. You know, everything is like relevant. Everything is relevant. It's like I thought that these concepts were like well known by now. I don't know. Apparently not. And why would you be against like somebody showing a bit of ass? Like they're at the gym, they're there to prove their body. They're enjoying their body. You know, they're comfortable with their body. That's nice.
The girls like hate when guys stare at me at the gym, and she's just doing like fucking like the most ridiculous lunge with her ass just like completely out and shit. Like
Yeah, but like that's not an invitation to interfere though. Okay, it's one thing if you can't help looking now and then, you go like, yeah, whatever. And it's another thing to just interfere and just go there and be like, oh boy, you're showing that ass. That means that you want me to like. No, it doesn't mean anything. Like it just doesn't mean anything.
like 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 it's an exaggerated concept, but it's really there. It's everywhere. It's in the fashion. It's literally in the fashion. Like girls need to show their ass now.
And again, like wherever this guy says women or girls, like you can just assume that, like, you know, not assume, but like you can just replace that in your head, just to give it a little bit more validity, because otherwise it comes off as like extremely bigoted, I guess, or narrow-minded.
And I used to just be, guys, I'm telling you, it was so bad. After the 100 days of celibacy, I started to bring awareness to it, but it was so bad that even as of recently, I noticed.
So by bringing awareness, does he mean that he was going around protesting people showing their ass a little bit more than he wants to? Does he feel like these people are trying to push him back into his days of like furiously fapping? I mean, that's his problem. You shouldn't like take it on other people and how they dress.
Dude, I can't even walk down the street without scanning the entire environment to find every girl, and then I need to know what her ass looks like
Dude, you need help.
through her jeans. I'm just being fully honest. Like
Yeah, I'm also being completely honest. You need help.
I realized this as of recently. I programmed my brain through pickup, through society, through sexualizing of the world, that when I go out, I needed to scan the entire environment and look for all of the different women, and I need to know what their ass looks like and how hot each girl is and what the interaction would
Dude, that is a miserable existence. That sounds almost like an obsession or something.
go like if I were to go up to that girl. Right? Now look, I have slowly desensitized myself to that. It's not like that anymore. But that's the whole point of this video, is that we don't even realize.
So the whole point of this video is basically Kyle realizing he was basically a macho dude focused only on his dick. And now he's not that, and he's trying to deprogram himself from being like basically a jerk. And that's a good story arc, I guess. But like, okay, what's the point though? Like, what do you want us to do about it, Kyle?
Just how bad we've been conditioned and brainwashed. Part of it is our own fault. Part of it is just it's society for it being this way, but it's also on us to do better, right? That's the whole point of this video, is to bring awareness to the urges and the lifestyle and the loop, the infinite loop that you're probably chasing.
So the point of the video is to tell other gooners and like clinically obsessive masturbators that other people are free to wear what they want, and that doesn't mean that they should be chased. And I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
right? So after I did that 100 days of celibacy, I did reflection on the whole thing too. I started to notice that I became a little bit detached from needing the sex so much.
The sex? The sex? Okay, all right.
And full transparency, I did go back and experiment after that. And I realized that some of the girls that I was with afterwards would have been the girls that I would be forever just chasing those.
Yeah. So after your experiment, you realize that they're people, and you don't have to fuck every one of them, especially not because they're wearing tight clothes or something. And that's like taking you 16, 17 minutes to get to in what I assume is your late 20s.
These infinite loops with those kind of women. Not the same girl. I wouldn't want the same girl. I'd want to get that one girl, go do that, slay that, notch on the belt, go out, repeat the process. If I really like the girl, I'd hang out a couple times, make sure she's still kind of like chasing me and really into me. And if she is, that means I'm super cool and I can brag about it to all my friends. But I don't want to be.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That made me like physically respond. Like I recoiled a little bit. Ah. Ah. Oh boy. This whole story arc, Kyle's story arc has been interesting, and amusing, and sad. And I don't Kyle, you shouldn't be coaching people. You need to balance yourself, my dude.
Be with her like that. If she starts to like me too much, that's going to be a turn off, you know? And so then I got to go find the next one and then the next one. And if one of them disrespects me, and then that girl's done, right? Because
I mean, if you're gonna be disrespected, yeah, of course. Why would you want to be disrespected? Like, why would you want to be with a person who disrespects you? That is true. Like, that is generally true, I guess. Did that like take you 100 days of celibacy to understand?
I can't be disrespected. Only a beta male would do that. You know, God forbid we had a healthy conversation.
Ah, ah. I want you to know, like, I'm watching this, and I don't know. I don't know, dude. Maybe I won't be able to watch the whole of it. It's going down really weird.
And actually like communicated like boundaries, you know, from a healthy perspective about what should be going on within the relationship. It's crazy to think about, man. Like this is what
Really
society
crazy, Kyle. It's not really crazy. It's crazy how you just realize you can have conversations with people. That's what's
has
crazy.
come to. And I am not saying I'm above any of this by any means. I'm saying I've gotten so lost in these things. So lost. So lost in it. And I don't even think that that's a bad thing either. If you're going through it or you haven't experienced it, go explore that, dude. You need to actually go through some of that because going through it and exploring it will actually give you some degree of certainty.
That in a vacuum is a good statement. As in, it's generally it's generally better to experience certain things. Like some things nobody can tell you how they feel, or how not that you should pick up dog shit from the street and just eat it because that's an experience. Again, within reason, right? Some of the things in life cannot be explained. They can be described, but they can't be communicated, if that makes sense. You can't communicate the experience. You can say what it makes you feel, but some things you have to go out and experience for yourself. That is true as a general statement, nothing to do with what this guy is saying, but in general, there are things that, like, for example, you can describe having sex with someone to someone who's never had sex, they will never come even close to stimulating that feeling in their mind, right? So, how would you can say certain words, for example, but like they're not gonna do much. That they're gonna set a frame at best, right? Or if you don't know how something tastes, like let's say chocolate, and someone is trying to describe to you what it tastes like, it's not gonna be the same. And it's chocolate we're talking about, so just take a bite, whatever. That's a healthy approach in general. But this has nothing to do with what Kyle's saying. It's just a general way of how things work, basically.
And what you actually want later on in life. You can't just be wondering what if the rest of your life. You can't be wondering what if. But I'm just telling you guys, like, as of recently, I'm actually doing the opposite now. What I've concluded from all of this is that
Okay.
the more you
What did you
condition yourself to
conclude?
something, the more you will crave that thing.
You just concluded. Okay. So I'm not gonna watch the rest because at this point, this is literally just infantile realizations at this point. With no offense to Kyle, but like yeah, these things. Sorry to break it to you, but like a lot of people, if not the majority, on average at least, they we know that stuff, Kyle. It's you who needs to kind of like realign yourself and face some realizations, which you have been doing. This guy has been doing that, but it's led him down to a knee-jerk reaction path of like weirdness. And I think that's like redundant, but also in some cases unavoidable. So I can't really completely blame the guy. But yeah, and I guess you know what? The title can't be accurate because yes, sex sells and sex is fun and so it sells, There is no it's not something that you can hate to the degree where you're gonna react to that because that's like a little bit like fucking crazy. Um, yes, you can feel overwhelmed by the sexualization and objectification for sure, but I don't think that it should ever lead you down a path where you actively hate it and avoid it and demonize it because you're opening a whole can of very demonic and you know rotting maggots there, not just worms. And yeah, that's the right reaction to this. I think a better reaction would be to simply learn to filter the various stimuli that you see in your life to a healthy degree, and that's all you basically need to do, to the point where you're not literally unable, or sorry, you're not literally able to control your urges to masturbate, for example, which this guy has failed to do for 15 years, because then you're going to end up like Kyle. And I don't think you want to end up like Kyle. I don't think Kyle wanted to end up like Kyle, which is the whole point of that video, I guess. Thanks for sharing, Kyle, but like, you got your work out for you, and I hope that he kind of like gets out of this trench of extreme reaction to these realizations, because if not, then that's gonna be another 15 years of instead of fapping furiously, hating pleasure and hating this and hating that and going the exact opposite way, which has its own set of problems. So I'm not gonna finish watching it, and it's a very childish thing, all in all. I won't say childish. I'll say it's a very like you're watching somebody realize things that should have been like in their head ever since they were like 16 or something. that like people are people, that you can have conversations, that you shouldn't think with your dick, you know, not 16 but like 18, let's say. But you're watching a grown-ass man going through it on camera while trying to convince you that they can coach you. So at this point, this is holy shit. If this guy is your coach, you're fucked, buddy. If this guy, it doesn't matter if you're like, you know, whatever. If this guy is your coach, regardless of like orientation, gender, um, um, you know, beliefs or denominations or whatever, if this guy is your coach and you're taking it seriously, you yourself either have severe issues with your maturity or you're fucked. You took a wrong turn and you're fucked, and you gotta like probably find you know, someone else to look up to, or make yourself the person who you want to look up to. It's worth the journey. Certainly a better journey than following Kyle as a coach. Which is not to say that, you know, Kyle is a bad person, but like, yeah, I've said all I wanted to say. So yeah, fuck that. Interesting though. Interesting. Okay, what can I tell you? That was adventurous. That was adventurous for sure. Um, so, do I want to go into that or save it for next week? This is so interesting, and probably will make me talk about a lot of things that are personal to me, that I think warrants its own like little stream. And it's been 2 hours and a half, and so I think I'm going to just pin it and keep it there. And we're gonna talk about it like next Saturday. And I think this is gonna be a far more interesting and constructive journey than the videos I watched today. But I was amused today. I had a good laugh, thanks to Kyle. And that's like, you know, that's nice to be able to laugh. I like laughing. I enjoy being amused. And yeah, I hope you were amused too. That's where I was going with this. I hope you were amused and that I entertained you. And that you know, you killed a couple of hours um, having fun. And so thanks for watching. And even if you didn't, whatever, dude, I don't really care. I had fun. I had fun streaming this shit. And yeah. And so with that, I will leave this, which is a heavy topic for me. Like, it's especially heavy for me. But I will go through it next Saturday. Because I find it interesting, and I wonder I wonder what this person is gonna say. I'm so curious, honestly. I'm so fucking curious, because it's not every day that anyone talks to me, or I talk to anyone, or watch any kind of content that debates death, essentially. And death to me, not because I'm a goth. Don't even go there. We're talking like heart to heart right now. Death to me is a very heavy topic, and so I'm curious. Honestly, I'm actually curious what I will feel, and what the person is gonna say, and what I'm gonna think about it, and what I'm gonna say about it as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna do it for now because we had way too much fun, and I think that's a good like theme for this stream. You know, just watching weird shit. Um, so next Saturday, when I will do the next yapping session with you, let's yap about something actually serious and constructive, you know, and see what comes out of it. I'm very interested. All right, so with that in mind, thank you very much for watching and for keeping me company. And I'll catch you on Monday. And yeah, I hope you have a great weekend. Don't be like Kyle. Don't be coached by people like Kyle. Okay? Make that promise to me. Don't be a buffoon. Okay? Um, and make another promise to me. Don't fucking try to educate yourself on Guild Wars 2 or form an opinion on Guild Wars 2 or check to see if you're gonna like the game or not before playing based on videos like the one we watched, because that was honestly just dog water in terms of content. And again, I'm not attacking the people, though I did have fun trash talking Kyle there. I did give the benefit of the doubt, like genuinely, and I did try to distill out of it at least something worth talking about. And yeah, but it was difficult because it was a cringe video, and yeah, Kyle's a little bit of a buffoon right now, and I hope Kyle, kind of like walks out of that one without compromises or costs, to put it that way. Not that I care too much, but like that was a little bit. I don't know what to say. All the best for Kyle, I guess. The furious masturbator, private one-on-one public YouTube coach, bringing it raw. uh, yeah, okay, cool stream, thanks. And kisses, and also sorry for no cam. You'll get cam on Monday or Tuesday. You will, I promise you. I am very much focused on trying to increase it. Trust me when I say that. Like I do mean it, and you've seen it from my efforts. But today, and yeah, okay, I'll see you and kisses.